Namaste, everybody. Hello. Welcome back. I'm at my home here in Kamloops and I got my kitties. They're going to be assisting me today. This is Bella. She's my firstborn. Our practice today is for deep rest. So you may have noticed while I was on vacation, all the practices were more active because I didn't have all of my beautiful props with me. So today for class, you're going to need a bolster or a couple of folded blankets, maybe 3 folded blankets. So if you have a bolster, 1 blanket, 1 bolster. If you don't have a bolster, 3 blankets. I also have my trusty blocks here. I have 2 of those. You can use books instead if need be. And I also have an extra pillow here that I'm going to use for underneath my knees. Now I'm going to let our practice today be sort of self-directed, and I want to just say a word about giving yourself permission to take rest. And I don't mean rest where you're just kicking your feet up on the couch, scrolling through Facebook or watching TV or watching a movie. That is restful on some levels, but the kind of rest that I'm talking about is deep rest on a conscious level. And so it's consciously doing nothing. It's constructively doing very little with the intention that we are going to bring our nervous system down into a parasympathetic state. She's playing in a box. And so with that as our goal, our focus is less about doing and more about letting go and just being. And so the breath is going to play a pivotal role in this practice today. And I'm just going to allow my body to guide us through what's needed without too much of a plan. So we're going to see where this session takes us for deep rest today. So I'd like to invite you to start by coming to laying down on your back. And we'll start with some centering and breathing from the floor. So if you find constructive rest with your knees bent and your feet slightly apart, leaning the knees together, and just allowing the sacrum to sink into the floor, the base of the tailbone. You can rest the hands on the belly, somewhere on the low abdomen. Take a deep inhale through your nose, and as you exhale out the mouth, let out a long sigh. We'll do that together. Take a big breath in through the nose. Long sigh. And just allow the body to melt towards the earth and accept the support of the ground underneath you. You might choose to take a couple rounds of that long sighing exhale. And notice how it causes the jaw to release. Tension that you might not even realize that you're holding in the jaw, in the tongue, in the throat. Just allow the tongue to loll inside the mouth. Relax the jaw. Maybe allow the teeth to part slightly. And just allow yourself to drop in here for a few breaths. Maybe invite a tiny smile to the corners of your mouth. It's very advanced yoga. Give yourself one more of those ha breaths with a smile. So big inhale, fill the lungs, little smile. Long sigh. Good. Beautiful. And then when you're ready, we'll go ahead and bring the knees into the chest. You can wrap one hand around each knee and hug the knees in. Or you're welcome to clasp the hands if that's available. And just see what kind of exploratory movements the body wants to make here. It might be rolling the back of the head on the mat gently side to side. Keeping the breath nice and long and smooth and rhythmic. It might involve rolling the back from side to side, left to right. Just see what's needed here. So it's very much a practice about listening inward and finding what serves you. And today might be different than another day, so just really being present to what your experience is in the moment. Giving yourself this time, this precious time for you on the mat to just be aware of yourself, be present of what's there. We'll come back to center. You can go ahead and release the left leg down. Hug the right knee in. Take it around the right side of the ribs and in towards the right shoulder. And then this left leg can stay bent, foot flat on the floor, or if you want a stronger stretch, you can try straightening the leg and even flexing the feet here. Let's just take a couple of rounds of breath here. You can either be just relaxing into this stretch, which is a really gentle stretch for the low back, or you can be pressing the backs of the shoulders down and back into the mat a little bit for a little more active stretch. If you're taking the active version, remember to breathe. So if you're pressing your backs of your shoulders down, the chest is going to puff up a little bit. And what we're essentially doing is stretching the spine here at the same time that we're hugging the knee in. So let's take 2 more breaths here with a smile. Relaxing the shoulders. So if they're active and pressing down, they're active, they're not totally relaxed, but they're not scrunching up by the ears. You know what I mean? So letting them drop down and back. Good. And then we'll go ahead and stretch the right leg up towards the ceiling. You can support with the hands behind the leg if you want. You can point the toe, flex the toe, point and flex, and just continue to breathe here. Good. So we're just getting energy into the leg, prana, life force, and we're also lubricating this ankle joint. Let's take it into some circles, the ankle. Just taking it around. And it doesn't matter if your leg is bent or straight, just keep breathing. Go around the other way. Oh, some snap, crackles, and pops are coming out. Rice Krispies. Good. And then we're going to bend this right knee and slide the right hand up to the ankle, flexing the right foot and pulling the right knee down towards the mat here. So wherever that takes you. If the hand reaches the foot, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too, just on the ankle. And you might even put your elbow on the inside of the knee to help press the elbow into the knee to widen the hip a little bit. Good. Let's take 1 or 2 breaths here. And feel free to make any little bit of micro movements that feel good, right? Totally feel free to explore into the different areas of your body. Nothing needs to be static or held. Everything is fluid and moving. Okay, so let's just release this right leg down to the left and just notice for a moment the energy in your right leg, your right foot, your right hip, and the energy in your left leg, your left foot, your left hip. So this is where I like to invite you to notice what we call prana or life force. So you might notice the feeling and sensation in your right leg is happy, alive feeling. Like you can really feel that you have a leg, a hip, a foot. And by comparison, the left side may or may not feel almost like it's dead or numb. Yeah, there's not as much sensation possibly, or not as much feeling of aliveness. So just notice that. That's prana, that's life force in our body, and that's what our yoga practice helps us to open up. So with that awareness, let's go ahead and change sides. So bring the left knee in to the chest. You can take it around the outside of the ribs and then in towards the left shoulder. Good. This right leg can either stay bent, which is more gentle, or you can stretch it out long if you like. Pressing the backs of the shoulders into the mat. If you want it a little more active, you can flex your feet, press the shoulders down into the floor, and breathe. You can do that active version with the feet active and the shoulders pressing down if you want to, or you can just relax here. You can just be really soft, but just breathing regardless. Sometimes I like to try things one way and then try them the other way and see what my body feels like doing on a given day, right? It might feel like being soft. It might feel like being active. So just test it out and take a couple more breaths with a smile. Oxygenating by breathing deeply, taking oxygen into all the cells. Beautiful. And then we'll go ahead and straighten the left leg up. You can support it with the hands if you want to, and just pointing the toe, stretching the top of the foot, flexing the foot, spreading the toes, pressing up through the heel. Continue to breathe as you move between those two positions. And even continue to smile. Sometimes we forget, we get really concentrated and focused with very serious furrowed brow going on. Let this practice be light and soft for you. Good, and then we'll take the circles around the ankle joint, lubricating, getting synovial fluid into the ankle joint. There we go. Go both directions. Sometimes you'll notice one ankle has more mobility than the other. So just noticing those asymmetries. Good, nice. And then we're going to slide this left hand up to the ankle, bend the knee, and draw the knee down towards the floor on the outside of your body. This can also be made easier. I didn't mention this on the other side, but this can be assisted by bending the straight leg that's on the floor. You'll notice that gives you a lot more freedom to bring the knee down. But again, it's not about getting the knee down to the mat. It's just about making it accessible. But for some, if the leg is straight, the right leg is straight, it'll make it impossible to hold onto the ankle or the foot. So in that case, obviously you can bend the right leg to make it a little bit more accessible. Good. Nice. And we'll take a couple of breaths here. One of the great things about if you can't reach the foot and you're having your hand on your ankle is that it lines up your elbow right on the inside of the knee, which you can then use to press your elbow into your knee to sort of widen the knee, which actually stretches in the hip a little more. So you can try that if your hand is on the ankle. It won't quite line up if your hand is on the foot, but if your hand is on the foot, then your action is just of pulling the foot down towards the mat. Okay, so let's go ahead and release these. We're going to take hold of both feet, the outer edges of the feet, with the elbows in the middle and the elbows on the insides of the knees, and we're just going to rock a little bit here, side to side. I don't know if you know this, but rolling around on the floor is actually very grounding. It's a great way to sort of ground your electromagnetic field, the one that gets all disturbed by the Wi-Fi signals and cell phone tower signals. Rolling around in the ground is a great remedy for that. Alrighty. You might feel that stretch in the groin there and a little bit in the hips. So we'll just take a couple breaths in the middle here. And again, if you can't hold the feet, holding the ankles is totally cool. Relax any tension through the shoulders. We'll take one sigh, exhale, ha breath here, big breath in and out. Good, nice. Now release and roll over to the side. And we're going to walk our way up and come to hands and knees to do a little bit of cat-cow, just to warm up the spine a little bit and take out the stiffness. Our little bit of gentle warm-up practices that we're doing today before we do our restorative is to stretch the hips and warm up the spine a little bit, and then the body will settle in to relax more deeply at the end. So just check your fingers. You're spreading your fingers nice and wide. You can pad the knees with a blanket fold if you're on a hard floor. Check that your your pointer fingers are parallel to each other. And you want your wrists right under your shoulders and sometimes even slightly wider, rather than having the hands really close together, which bunches up the shoulders. So even if your fingers are hanging off the sides of the mat, no worries. The knees are under the hips. We're going to exhale as we round the back, coming into Halloween cat. Pull the navel in and up. Stretch the back of the heart. Press your hands down as you exhale. And then as you inhale, tip the pelvis back, drop the belly, lift the heart, and roll the shoulders away from the ears, lifting the chest. Then as you exhale, rounding back to Halloween cat, pull the belly in, drop the chin, press the hands down, and lift the back of the heart. And as you inhale, tipping the hips back, lifting the chest, opening the heart. We'll just do that a few times with our own breath. Go at your own speed, moving slowly, mindfully. When we synchronize breath with movement like this, it's actually calming our emotional brain. It's calming our limbic system. It's also bringing us into the present moment, out of the past, out of the future. As we focus on synchronizing breath and movement, it takes a little bit of concentration. So it brings us right into the here and the now. Yeah, we'll do one more. Finishing on an exhale. Keep going until you finish in Halloween cat. And then go ahead and sink your hips back to your heels. You can take your knees a little bit apart, point the big toes towards each other, and bow the forehead towards the ground. If the forehead doesn't meet the earth, just resting the head on the hands or finding a block or a blanket to bring the floor up to you. And let the hips sink heavy towards the heels. Melt the heart, melt the belly. Relax the shoulders and the jaw. We'll take one ha breath here. Inhale, nose, exhale, sigh. Melting. Good, nice. Let's go ahead and walk our way up. So patting the back knee, step your right foot forward and come into a low lunge. So the lunge is for stretching your psoas muscle. I'm going to do a whole class on psoas. And I'm going to call it so as I was saying. Sorry, that's my silly sense of humor. You may want to have blocks here underneath your hands. You may want to have a blanket underneath your back knee or a pillow to pad it if you're on a hard floor. You're going to shift your hips as far forward as they go. And then find your front knee right over your front ankle. So if you didn't take a big enough step and you're here, this is hard on the knee, your heel's going to want to lift. So adjust it so when you look down, the knee and the ankle are stacked. Now you could have hands on blocks. We're just going to hold here and breathe in this sort of a yin style posture. I've got my back toes curled under just to keep the back leg aligned. Then you may not need blocks. You might have blocks on a lower setting if it's comfortable. You might not need them at all if your arms are long and you can still breathe here. And we're just allowing the hips to sink forward and down. Now the modification, if you have no space to breathe there and your belly needs more room, is just taking the foot on the outside and the hands in the middle. Same thing, the ankles right under the knee. You could be palms flat if you want to, or hands on blocks. I'm just offering that lizard modification this creates more space for bellies. So if you're finding that you're constricted here and you're like, can't breathe, not comfortable, you don't have to be here. You can be here, right? And if you're really, really not getting enough stretch out of this, you can come down to the forearms if you want to, but let's just say we're here for now. You can make any kind of intuitive movements here, side to side, and just allowing gravity to kind of do the work for you here. Make sure the back knee is happy. You could also lift the back knee if the back knee is giving you trouble. So there's so many different ways, right, to adjust the practice to suit our needs, right? So if you're having trouble with the back knee and it doesn't, nothing about putting it down, even putting it on a bolster doesn't help, you could lift the back knee, have hands on blocks, and you might be there or there. It's a lot more work with the knee lifted, so hats off to you if you're doing that. Remember, only holding the pose as long as your body feels happy to hold it, and that might not be as long as I'm instructing. So I'm going to gently ease out and come to sitting back on the heels, but we're not going to stay there. We're going to bring the fingertips behind and lift the hips, pressing the knees down, stretching the front of the thighs. Now, if that doesn't work for you, you could put blocks underneath your hands to give you a little bit longer arms, making that a little bit more accessible. And if neither of that doesn't work either, you can come to kneeling up on your knees, press the hips slightly forward, lift the chest if you need to do that version. All right, so we're going to release, come down, and we'll do the other side. So step your left foot forward. Again, checking knee over ankle. When you shift your hips as far forward as they go, let the hips sink down towards the earth in gravity. You could have hands on blocks. And we're just hanging out here, smiling and breathing. Again, if you need that space for belly, walking the foot to the outside. You could be not needing blocks if you're a little bit more open. And this is really what this is doing is giving us an opportunity to breathe through the sensations that can sometimes become intense, not just in our yoga practice, but in our lives. And it's one of the things I love about this practice of holding poses and then observing what comes up, noticing the sensations, breathing through them. Cultivating our ability to breathe through challenges when they arise in our daily life, whatever they might be, whether that's getting stuck in traffic or having an argument with your spouse or having a child that is challenging you, whatever the case may be, these skills are transferable. That's what I love about it. I'm just going to adjust and come into lizard, and you can be choosing whatever version of this feels good for you. Remember to breathe. Remember to exhale in particular. You can use that ha breath if you want to. Out the mouth. Just letting the tension go, letting the resistance go, letting the tightness go. All the things you don't need anymore. Oh, this is such a good stretch for if you've been sitting a lot, driving, or at your desk. All right, let's release. You're probably screaming at me by now. Good, and we're going to come into seated position. So you can bring your feet to the side and swing your legs out in front. That lunge is also a really good stretch for preparation for sleep. It releases the psoas muscle, which when it's tense, it causes us to tense up in bed and feel active and alert in bed. When we stretch it out, it stimulates our parasympathetic nervous system and it puts us into relaxation mode. So this is what we want. So we're going to widen our sit bones and just check here. When your legs are stretched forward and your feet are flexed, do you feel like you're leaning back at all? If you feel like you're leaning back or you're in a bit of an L shape, if you're not easily sitting, if you're in a bit of a C shape, if you're not easily sitting in an L shape, just slide a blanket underneath your tailbone. This is just a really sweet way to take care of your body and your back. And actually, let's go ahead and bend the knees a little bit. We're going to put the hands on each knee and draw ourselves up nice and tall. So you can draw your shoulders back, lift your chest, and then start to bow forward, slide the hands down the legs. You're going to hold on to either your ankles or the outer edges of your feet. Now again, if you are bigger bodied and you want more space for your lovely belly, take your feet wider, These are the little tricks of the trade. So taking your feet wider. And then whatever you're holding on to, whether you're holding on to your ankles, the outer edges of your feet, you're going to pull that towards you. Pull your shoulders back, draw your heart forward. Right? I'm pulling back on the feet or ankles, and then slightly tuck the chin, so we're lengthening the back of the neck. Imagine there's a string at the top of your head that's stretching up away from your tailbone. It's drawing the crown of your head up. Good. And then as you feel to, you might start to press your feet forward. You might start to move more towards a straight leg. And it's not about straightening the legs, not at all. It's just about finding your edge where you can still breathe and feel happy and content and breathing, but you still feel a little bit of a challenge, right? So that's a different place for everybody. You're still pulling with the hands on the feet, still lengthening the crown away from the tail, and still breathing. And the legs don't have to be straight. I can't emphasize that enough. Good. And we're just gently going to walk our way up. All right. Okay, we're going to come to cross-legged, come to seated, and you can sit on a blanket fold here if you want to. Good. Touch the floor with your left hand, reach your right arm up, and then reaching to the left side. You can walk this left hand. Press your right hip down into the mat and lift your right ribs. You can look up if it's comfy for your neck, or just look forward and smile and breathe. Good. Notice if the shoulders are trying to kiss the ears, drop them down away from the ears. Imagine that your head is like a turtle poking its head out of the shell, so it's not hiding its head in its shell. It's lengthening the head out away from the shell. So being bright in the front body. We'll take 2 breaths here. Nice. Feels so good. Opening the side body. Good. And on our inhale, come back to center. Follow your own breath. Reach both hands up. And exhale over to the right side. So thinking about keeping the heart lifted as you bend to the right, pressing the left hip down and pressing my hand down, and then lifting the left ribs, lifting the heart, lengthening through the crown, and breathing and smiling here. I've just started sort of a clean eating program. I was on it before, and I've just started it back up since I got back from vacation. So I'm going to be possibly offering a version of it in April through the members area or through our membership. So if anyone's interested in that and you're watching this video, feel free to pop me an email or a message and let me know, because it's going to be part of the membership included in it. I'm just not sure if there's interest or not. So okay, let's go ahead and come all the way back up. Reach up and bring hands to the heart. Beautiful. That's yummy. Okay, let's bring the feet together. And in butterfly legs, you can hold on to the ankles if you want to, grow tall through the crown. And then we're going to start to fold forward. Okay, so you're just going to fold forward to where your body wants to go. Think about the feet pressing together and the inner thighs moving apart from each other, widening the hips. You can walk your hands forward if you want to. Now for some of us, our pose might be here. You might use your fingertips behind you to support and keep the front body open and bright. That could be your pose right here. You're still getting a big stretch in the hips. Only if you feel like you're not getting enough would you need to walk your hands forward. We're going to do 2 honeybee breath here. Do you remember that one? It's the hum, and just keeping your teeth slightly apart. So your upper and bottom teeth have a little bit of a gap. We'll take a deep breath in through the nose. Fill the lungs and then hum. one more if you want. Join me for one more inhale. Just taking a moment to notice that space. And slowly walk your way back up. After we do the honeybee, there's a moment after the sound where there's this pristine silence before the thoughts come crashing back in, thoughts, feelings, emotions, and opinions. We're going to come into our first restorative here. So my feeling is that what we need is a nice gentle back bend and a little bit of a twist. So here's the setup that we're going to do at the back of the mat. You're going to get your bolster and lean it on your block or your book about 2/3 of the way, the fulcrum point. If you're using pillows and blankets and such, you want to create the same angle, the same shape, and the same support. So of course, it won't work to just put blankets on a block like so, even if it's 2 blankets. You kind of have to get a little bit creative with how you set this up. Like for example, putting a blanket, a block, and then a pillow so that it's approximating the same angle as your bolster. So you gotta, if you don't have a bolster, just get a little bit creative with a couple of blanket folds and pillows and such. But you want to feel that firm support underneath your back. That's why blankets that are cotton or wool are preferable over a microfiber blanket. Natural fibers are preferable anyways. Now I've got a round bolster today, which is going to give me a really big low back bend. If you ever find that the low back bend is too much in your pose, the answer to that is to put something under the hips, right? Oh, that was my that was my under my knees. Okay, we also want something under our knees for today. So I've got this extra pillow I'm going to use under my knees. You could also use a blanket roll. And I might actually use both today. You can see how these props are like fluid, right? So you want to sit with your hips right close to the bolster or the blanket so that you get that support in the lumbar curve. So if I'm sitting too far forward and I lay down, I don't have that support in the lumbar curve. So I want to have my hips right against the bolster or blanket folds. And if it's too much, you can always put something under the hips like I have. And then you're going to have underneath your knees some blankets or pillows, and we're going to move into this reclined Supta, sort of like Supta Baddha Konasana, but we're taking out the butterfly legs. We're just letting the feet fall open. So once you get there, you want to make any little adjustments that you need to your pose. If there's anything about it that doesn't feel yummy, delicious, satisfying, content, you want to adjust it. So if your head isn't supported and it needs another blanket under the head, if your head is hanging back or it's hanging off the top of the bolster, even if your arms feel like your shoulders, if your elbows aren't touching the floor and you want to put blanket folds under your forearms, that can be really sweet to let the shoulders relax more fully. And then you want to check for symmetry and make sure that your whole body is even. Left side and right side are the same. If it's comfortable to keep the palms facing up, that's a nice way to enjoy because it reduces the sensory input into the hands, the tips of the fingers, etc. And we'll go ahead and close our eyes. And we'll come back to the same breath that we were doing at the beginning of our practice, the ha breath, using it as a tool to release layers of tension, kind of peeling them off like an onion. And I really want to invite you to make any sound that you like when you exhale. Allow yourself to make a sigh. It makes it even more effective. So let's do 3 of those breaths. Let me inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth, a sigh. And just notice how that encourages your body to melt. We'll do 2 more. Inhale. Big sigh. Good. 1 more. And then settle in with a smile, with the jaw slack. Let the feet fall open, floppy ankles. Relax the jaw, the throat, and the tongue. Soften your lips. Relax the corners of the eyes. And rest the eyes themselves. Notice your breath. And begin to follow the rise and fall of your breath in your body. Just observing a gentle flow. gently, very slowly, begin to wiggle your toes. Begin to turn your neck and head a little side to side. Begin to wiggle your fingers, circle your ankles, circle your wrists. Take a little stretch when you're ready. No rush. If you're feeling like your body's reluctant to move, let it rest there longer. You don't need to change positions right away. And just know that cultivating our ability to let go and relax deeply, consciously, is a practice in itself. Let's go ahead and turn over to the right side. Put one elbow on the ground and gently guide your way up. So really it's a practice. If you find that you lay down and we're going to set up for a twist. So we're going to move the blankets and pillows that were underneath our knees. You might keep one blanket to put over your body. Make sure that your body temperature, your core temperature stays warm. When you relax deeply, your body temperature drops because all of the blood rushes back into your torso, away from your extremities, which can sometimes cause you to feel cold. So make sure you're taking care of that. If you're cold, you're going to not be able to relax as deeply. So get cozy. We're going to keep the setup underneath our back, and we're going to sit side saddle. So I'm going to sit with my left hip close to the bolster, and the bolster is poking out to the side. The feet are just sort of side saddle to the right side, any way that feels comfortable for the feet. So this cultivation, let's get cozy here first before I yak some more. So we're going to do a little twist here. What you want to do is grow really tall. So if you put your fingertips on the floor and lift the body up, lift the front body up, lengthen the spine, and then start to twist and turn your body towards the bolster. So the front side of the body is pointing towards the bolster, and sometimes you need to sort of shift your legs or shift your hips away from the bolster a little bit to get that twist, create that twist so your front body is facing the bolster. And then lengthen and place the belly, the chest, the heart on the bolster, and let the arms sort of hug the bolster. You can have head to either side, whatever's comfortable. You can experiment trying it one way and then the other and see what you like. Make any little adjustments, wiggle around until you feel really comfy, cozy, and supported there. And then we'll just take a couple of deep breaths to really release. One way you can make this pose even more juicy is to support under the arms. So we want to think about supporting under all the joints. If you've got an elbow that's dangling in the air, that's not going to be as relaxing as if you have the elbow supported. So I'm just offering this option of you can try it or not, or maybe you try it another time. Okay, so lengthening. I've got one pillow under each elbow. Oh, and that feels actually super nice and yummy. So after you've made all the adjustments that you need and you feel really comfortable, let's take a couple of deep breaths. We'll inhale through the nose. Exhale a sigh, relaxing the shoulders, letting the arms feel heavy. One of the things that can happen when you're setting yourself up in these restoratives is you can find that the mind is quite jumpy, the eyes might be fluttering. So it's a practice to consciously signal to the body that we're going to really relax deeply. The ha breath, the exhale out the mouth, the sigh is one useful tool. Just let that breath melt your whole body, your back, your hips, your shoulders. And then the other tool is to focus the mind on the breath or on a mantra. Because when the mind is focused on one point, it's not running here and there after different thoughts and chasing rabbits down the rabbit hole. So you can come back to your breath here, and you might even begin counting your breath to keep the mind steady. Or perhaps just observing the sensation of your breath, the gentle rise and fall as you breathe. And just allow yourself to melt down. Again, relax your forehead, your eyebrows, the point between your eyebrows. Let the support and the bolster support you. Relax the jaw, the tongue, and the teeth. very gently. And again, take your time. If you're not ready to move, feel free to stay here longer. You can always push pause and rewind later and go at your own pace. If you're ready to come up, use your hands to support you and slowly roll the spine up vertebra by vertebra. And we really want to take our time when we're moving from one position to another. As we go slow, it keeps our nervous system in that relaxed state. So you can just simply turn to do the other side, to put your right hip to the bolster. And same setup, same scenario. Make any adjustments you need if you're warm enough. This is all about you. These restorative poses are about nurturing ourselves on a really deep level, which may or may not be something that you do a lot in your daily life. So again, the setup, you're going to sit nice and tall. Turn the front body towards the bolster. So you create the twist with the length in the spine. Get really tall. And then belly and heart resting on that bolster. Head can be to either side. Close your eyes if you have glasses, for sure. Take those off. And then begin to use your breath to peel away the layers of tension. Big inhales through the nose and a long exhales through the mouth. Letting each exhale take you deeper into your relaxation. And relax your forehead and all the little muscles around your eyes. Let your jaw go slack. And begin to follow your breath. Just enjoying that rise and fall in the body, the natural rhythm, internal rhythm. Like waves of the ocean. Notice if there's any little areas of tension anywhere in the body. Do a little scan. If you notice an area that you're holding tension, take a conscious breath and consciously let that tension soften in that area. Allow yourself to rest deeply here. Gently, very carefully, just allow your breath to deepen. Notice how you feel, how your body feels, how your mind feels. When you feel fully ready in your own timing, keeping eyes closed, using supporting hands. When you're ready, start to slowly roll the spine up. The head and neck coming up last. We're going to move right into Shavasana. So you may just lay down flat with a blanket over top and take your Shavasana. You could we have all these lovely props if you want. You can make a nice little setup for your legs with your bolster under your knees, or your bolster under your knees and your feet on pillows or blankets. Really whatever feels most comfortable for you. Make sure that you're warm. I'm just nurturing you, settling in. Take a deep breath. Let out a sigh. Let the arms fall a little ways away from the body and the feet a little bit apart. Palms facing up. And then just letting the body melt into the floor. Notice how it feels to be supported. Notice your breath. And allow your whole body to gently rest there. Letting your legs feel heavy. Your hips and your pelvis heavy. Your belly and your back heavy. Your shoulders and your arms and your hands. Allow yourself to rest deeply here for as long as you like. Feeling the breath rise and fall in the body. welcome to stay here longer, resting as you need. If you're ready to come back, slowly wiggle your fingers, your toes. Remember to listen to you. Take a little stretch, do what feels good. You can bend the knees. When you're ready, roll over to the side, preferably the right side. Oh. And then with helping hands on the floor, slowly roll your spine up, coming all the way back up to seated. Or continue resting. If you're coming back to seated, bring your hands together at your heart. And just taking a moment to feel grateful to yourself for this nourishing practice, to rebalance us, to bring us back to who we are, back to our true nature, which is inherently balanced, relaxed, happy, and free. Let's take a deep breath in. Cleansing exhale out the mouth. Feel free to sit in this moment, enjoying and basking for as long as you wish. And you're welcome to join me for one Om to seal in the practice, to seal in the goodness if you wish, or you can just listen and enjoy that way. And take a deep inhale. Finish always with a smile. May all beings be peaceful, happy, and free. Namaste. Namaste to you, my friend.